In this video we rewind to Easter weekend 1978 and a promotion battle between Brighton and Spurs. Up to 10,000 Spurs Yid Army descend on the Goldstone ground. What could possibly go wrong? Let's hear the stories. Spurs Yid Army member Carl told us. We got down there late Friday afternoon. A few of us bunked the train out of Victoria. Word had already come through earlier that day. Brighton was kicking right off. Spurs were everywhere, swarming like locusts down the coast. Soon as we stepped off the train, the buzz in the air was electric. Lads steaming in from north-east West London, like bloody quadrophenia, but with Fred Perry and monkey boots. We hit the seafront sharpish. It wasn't long before we clocked a mob of Brighton skins, proper local faces, giving it the eyes by the arcades near Palace Pier. Bit of lip, some posturing, then boom, all kicked off. They came at us hard at first, couple dozen of them, but we stood firm. There were fists, bricks, even someone swinging a bit of chain. Next thing, it felt like the entire Yid Army just rose out of the pavement. Spurs mobs pouring out of the chippy, off the beach, even from a pub round the corner. It was beautiful. Brighton tried to stand, but they were overrun. They scattered towards the lanes with the old Bill chasing behind, truncheons waving. Later that night, after a few in the King and Queen, we made our way down the North Lane. We heard a few Brighton faces were gathering near a pub they called the Basket Maker's Arms. So we moved quiet, about 40 of us, boots silent on the cobbles, until one of our lads lobbed a bin straight through the pub window. It went from calm to chaos in seconds. Locals burst out, pint glasses flying. One of theirs tried to bottle our mate Kev, but got laid out flat with a steel toe to the ribs. There were running fights through the alleyways, proper old school. You'd turn a corner and be in another scrap, then leg it before the blue lights came. I saw someone swing at a copper and vanish into the dark. By the time it calmed, the old Bill had nicked about 20 people, but most of us slipped away, buzzing, shirts ripped, noses bloody, but spirits flying. We were up early, some still wearing the blood and beer from last night. The word was clear, total domination. The train from London that morning was mobbed, skinheads, casuals, boot boys, the full Tottenham firm out in force. When we hit the town again, Brighton's lot was out trying to hold ground, but after last night, they were rattled. Saw a mob of them trying to front it near the clock tower. We squared up, about even numbers at first, but then it happened again. From every direction, Spurs came charging in. It was like someone kicked a hornet's nest. Brighton collapsed, some legging it down side streets, some standing and getting dropped. A copper got trampled as everyone surged. I remember someone getting thrown through a cafe window. It was all kicking off before the game even started. Inside the Goldstone, they tried to shove us in the East Terrace and NE corner, boxed in like animals. But Spurs don't get penned, do we? Early in the first half, we surged the barriers and spilled into the North Stand. Brighton's lot held it for a bit, singing and waving scarves, until they clocked the mob coming at them. We took it, simple as that. Pushed them back step by step. It got so wild their fans were literally on the pitch trying to escape us. Some of them looked terrified. There were scraps everywhere, stairwells, behind the tea stand, even inside the box. I saw a lad swinging from the rafters of a food kiosk like it was some mad jungle gym. Then the ref stopped the match. 14 minutes off the pitch while OB tried to get a grip. Never seen anything like it. Some said we were trying to get it abandoned. Maybe some lads were, who knows. We were losing, sure, but the point was made. Brighton thought they were big time now, pushing for Division 1. We reminded them who we were. That weekend was legend. Spurs lost the battle on the pitch that day, but off it, Brighton was ours. Street, pub, beach and ground. Blood, bottles, boots, we gave them all we had. They say the FA made them build fences after that. Good. Means they knew we'd be back. And we were. But that's another story for another day. Brighton fan Simon told us. You could feel it in the air by Friday afternoon. We'd heard whispers all week. Tottenham were coming in numbers. This was no normal away day. This was the Yid Army rolling down for war. Word spread through the pubs, the king and queen, the cricketers, the volunteer. They're on the trains already. Dozens of them, hundreds. It was Easter weekend, and it felt like the bloody apocalypse was about to descend on Brighton. That night, it came true. I was with a small bunch of lads near the Palace Pier. We weren't a proper mob, just locals who followed the Albion home and away, and wouldn't shy from a row if one came looking. And it did. Spurs turned up in waves. At first, it was a few loudmouths giving it from the street. Then within seconds, it was like the town was swamped. Flares, bottles, fists, you name it. I saw a Brighton lad get his head split open near the chip shop by the old fortune teller's hut. No warning, just bang, down he went. We tried to stand, but there were too many of them. Some of our boys legged it down the lanes, others tried to hold the line swinging belts and pint glasses. But we were getting hammered. Even the coppers didn't seem prepared. They were turning up in ones and twos, hopelessly outnumbered, chasing shadows. By midnight, the town centre was smashed to bits, and Spurs were strutting around like they owned the place. We regrouped around North Lane, thinking we'd get some numbers back together and hit back. A few of our lot, lads from Whitehawk and Mulscombe, turned up steaming, eyes blazing, ready to go again. We moved quiet, sticking to the alleys, looking for smaller Spurs mobs to pick off. Found a dozen of them near Trafalgar Street, mouthing off outside a pub. We rushed them, quick, brutal. Couple of them went down fast. But just as quick, more Yids came piling in from the station side. We held our ground for a bit, but we were swallowed again. I remember hearing someone shout, "It's like a bloody army." And that's what it was. Like they'd rehearsed it. Brighton cops finally showed in force, swinging batons left and right. They weren't asking questions, they were just cracking skulls. A mate of mine got nicked just for being in the wrong place. The rest of us melted into the dark. It wasn't just a fight anymore, it was survival. We turned up Saturday expecting more trouble, and got it. The Goldstone was rammed. You could feel the tension in your bones. It was supposed to be all ticket, tightly controlled. But that meant nothing. Spurs were everywhere, thousands of them, singing, pushing, climbing over fences, swarming into sections they weren't supposed to be in. They were meant to be in the east and NE terraces. They ended up all over the shop. We were in the north stand, the heart of Brighton's home end, and we saw it happen right in front of us. Spurs came spilling in like a wave, not running, just marching, confident. Lads in Stone Island, Fred Perry, skinheads with boots. They didn't care. We tried to hold it. Fists flying, feet stomping, but they had numbers. Every time we knocked one back, two more came through. Within 10 minutes it was clear. They'd taken our end. Some of our lot scrambled onto the pitch just to escape it. I saw dads with kids climbing barriers, terrified. Blokes in their 40s, never thrown a punch in their life, caught in the middle of it. The ref stopped the game for nearly 15 minutes. It wasn't football. It was carnage. After half-time, we regrouped behind the tea stand, which had somehow turned into a fortress. A few of our firm were dug in there. Older heads, local lads, and a few nutters who just didn't care anymore. Spurs tried to come through, laughing and throwing whatever they could find. It turned into a proper battle. Tea urns knocked over, scalding water, trays used as shields, scuffles in the stairwells. We didn't win, but we didn't let them walk it either. That spot held till final whistle. A few of us made a rearguard defense, holding them just enough to say we fought back. We got battered, no lies, but they knew we weren't going quietly. By the end, the Goldstone looked wrecked. The town was wrecked. Spurs had done what they came to do, on and off the pitch. They say we got fencing after that. Good. Maybe it kept the animals out. But deep down, we knew it wasn't about fences or policing. That weekend, we saw what real firm warfare looked like. Spurs came down with purpose. They wanted to take the town, the ground, and our pride. And fair play. For a day they did. but they never broke us. They never owned us. We stood, bloodied and battered, but still singing, still Albion. We thank Carl and Simon for their recollections of the weekend's events. It's clear that Tottenham did have most of the Goldstone ground, and that they took the Brighton end, the North Stand. But as I've stated many times, Spurs Yid Army were very underestimated in my opinion. So no disgrace for Brighton fans. Thanks for watching. Please comment if you were there. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe, as it really helps our channel grow. Bye until the next video.